Hello there, my name is Adam, I'm a 3D artist and illustrator, and today I'm going to show you how to make an isometric room. Before we do anything, I want you to go up here to File, or rather here to Edit, Preferences, and over here on Add-ons, I want you to search for Loop, and mark here where it says Mesh Loop Tools. And then I want you to do Mesh Extra Objects. You mark that. After you do that, I want you to go here to Input, and I want you to click here on where it says Emulate 3-button mouse. Then I want you to go here to Key Mapping, and I want you to select on Tab for Pie menu, and Extra Shading Pie menu items. That'll make the way I do it, it'll just make it so you can follow along more easily, rather. Okay. After that, you just click on here and save preferences. And that should be everything. You don't really need to change anything else. Another thing, if I press N here, we go to here, start this. Let me move it to about there. This here will show all my hotkeys. So as you'll see here that when I click, it activates. If I click middle click, it does it as well. If I press N, it shows that I pressed N 4 times. But there. That'll be all my hotkeys, so if you want to follow along with that, you can. Alright, now we can start. So the first thing, press 1 just to get yourself centered with how the cube should look. Then do Shift A, and we add an image, reference image. Make sure to uncheck this. Go to where your files are, so basically go to Downloads, is where mine is. I go here, and mine is going to be this one, which is History in a Room. So we load that. Then we do Rotate. We constrain it to the X-axis, and we do 90. Or rather, we type 90. After that, we press G, constrain to X, and we move it to the side. And there. This is the base of our room. If we press 1, we get the exact dimensions. And it seems that the room is pretty much a square, so that'll be really convenient when we're adding textures. So, let's select this. Let's go into edit mode. Let's go into face selection mode. Let's select these 3 faces in front, so don't select these ones. Delete them. And we do faces. Then what we do is go back into object if you want. We add a modifier, and we add a solidify modifier. We go over here to thickness. We do 0.09. And that should be the correct thickness according to how it looks here. Remember to mark it here where it says even thickness. That way it doesn't affect that. And we're not going to apply it yet, because for now it should look like this. Granted, you can apply it now, but whenever we need to reshape the room, it will modify. Thankfully, since our room is only slightly bigger, so we can go into edit mode, we can just select these, G, Y, and move it out a little bit because it's not a perfect square. It's more of a rectangle. And there we go. So once we do that, we can just go over here and click on apply. First we have to get out of edit mode, apply. Perfect. Let's also check that nothing is diagonal, so let's do it like this. Yeah, perfect. And if we click on it now, it should be a solid. Yeah, you'll see everything has different phases. Okay. Now we can continue on to making the main thing, which is the couch, the desk, and the chairs, and the carpets, everything. And I'll even show you how to add texturing to the carpet here. If we zoom in, you'll see that it's just like little diamond shapes. Though we're just going to make it a little dot to make it easier on you. Okay. First, let's start with the couch, because it's a slightly complicated shape. Let's do Shift A, Mesh, and we add a cube. Scale it down. We press 7. We keep scaling it down. Try to get it in place. And try to match the size. So G, Z, move it down. And try to match the size to what you think everything else will be. In my situation, I'm going to put the window about here, so the couch should be somewhere around here in height. So let's just go into 3 on the numpad, zoom in a little bit, go into edit mode, go into face selection, go into X-ray, and we select this top one, and we do G, Z, and move it up till we think it's about to reach the window, which is about there. G, Z, or rather G, Y, to move it this way. And we do the same here, G, Y. And if we match to the reference, it should be somewhere around there. Granted, it's a little bit lower, so we can always lower this part to more below. So G, Z, and we move this down a little bit. And there, that should be the couch size. Now, when it comes to the thickness of the couch, we're supposed to leave quite a bit of space. So let's try to imagine that the desk is here. First, we need to do like a little like storage thing here, where it's just like store papers and stuff. Then there's the desk, so it should reach somewhere about here. So we should extend this with G in the x-axis to about this size of a couch. There we go. So this is the size it should be in the room. We can turn off X-ray now if you want. Now what we can do, or rather we can go into edit mode, face selection, G, constrain to the Z-axis now that we know the height, and we make this go low like this. And we're trying to copy the height of this bottom part. So G, Z, and let's make it about there thin. Perfect. Now let's zoom in. Let's do Control R. Move it to about here. Control R again. And we move this edge loop here. Then let's go into face selection. Select these faces. And don't worry, we don't have to do it on the other side since we're just going to extrude this up and use the mirror modifier. So, extrude, and we move it upwards like this to about there. Now what we do is we select the edges. So let's go into edge selection. Let me actually move this object because right now it's a bit too close to the wall. So let's constrain to X and move it away from the wall because it was hard to select it. Get back into edit mode. Select these edges here. And then what you want to do is select these edges here and just press and just delete them. Edges. Then you can double click on edge selection mode on this and just do new face. After that, you can double click again and do Control B to bevel. And if you scroll up, you can add segments to this to round it off. And we just move it to where it doesn't, clip too much, but it's nearly there. Perfect. And that should be the top of the couch. We go into object mode, it should look something like this. Just like in the reference. Obviously, there's one little error here with this edge, so let's just do Control Z real quick. And let's redo that, but without this edge selected. There we go. Now let's do Control B. And let's do it to about there. And there, now that front bit isn't all bent. It's exactly like in the reference. Now what I want you to do is do edit mode again, Control R, and try to center it. Or at least try to get it close. So do it somewhere around here. There we go. And then I want you to go into face selection, turn on X-ray, press 3 on the numpad, and just select everything here. And just click on here on faces after you delete that. Then I want you to go here and apply a mirror modifier. Make sure you deselect X and do Y. Make sure you click here on clipping. And now we can go into edit mode. We can go into edge selection, select this edge, G, constrain to the Y axis, and move it till it does this movement here, where it just stops. Click, and now go over here Well, get out of edit mode first, go over here and just click on apply. So once we have that, we can just scale it up by going into edit mode. Then we just select this side and face selection, so go into face selection. And then we just press G and we constrain it to the y-axis and we just move it out like this to make the couch long again. And there, that makes it so none of this gets modified here. And so it keeps the edges looking good. And that's our couch. Pretty much done. We have to add the pillows as well. To make the pillows, it's pretty easy. We just do Shift A, Mesh, and we add a rounded cube. We go over here, Radius, and we put in a 2. Or if you really want to, like here, let's check how that looks. Let's do 1 instead. Perfect. Now we can resize this. You can also add a modifier to this just to make it look smoother, because right now it looks like a lot of polygons. To make it look smoother, subdivision surface modifier. And we just put a number 2 here. And make sure not to click on apply yet, because we just want it to stay like this. Right click and shade smooth. And if the shading looks a little weird, we can always go down here, go to the normals, and we click here. We also do it here. And first we have to add shade smooth to this and then do it. There we go. And one little detail that we forgot, which was the edge of the couch is supposed to be rounded off like this. So before we add the pillows, so let me just do G constrain to Y. Let's select this, edit mode. Let's select the edge selection. There we go. Select these two, and then do Control B on those. And we can bevel them out like this. You can reduce the segments if you really want to. I'll reduce it to about there. Perfect. And now if we go into object mode, it should look something like that, with a rounded off edge. Now we can continue making the pillow. So let's do edit mode on this. Let's do vertice selection. And let's try to emulate this shape here. So the way we're going to do that little shape there is pretty simple. We're just going to do G, Y to move this to the center. And then it's as simple as pressing O, selecting one of these edges, or rather, let's select 2 edges here. Then do G and reduce the size to about there, and we move it out like that. And we do the same over here. G, and we move it out like that. It really doesn't matter because it's just a pillow. There we go, we get that little shape there. We can also flatten this part here, so G, O, and we can flatten it a little bit. We can flatten the top part as well, G, like that. And that should give us an accurate pillow shape. And we can make this little part here pop out a little bit more. And if we go back into object mode, it should look like that. Scale it down. Press 7 on the numpad, G, and try to move it into place. Also, if you see your anchor point being there, you can always go into Object, Set Origin, and do Geometry, and that should fix it. G, Z, move it down into place, and let's try to get the same size. First, let me do 3, rotate in this axis, 1, and rotate in this axis. And we scale it up.